Once upon a time, Greta wanted to be a singer or to study dentistry, but her father died in her senior year of high school, and the family had a hard time lacking money. And after graduating from school with excellent grades, Greta did not go to conquer the capital, but to work in a clothing store to help her mother feed her younger brothers. Standing behind the counter, Greta thought life would get better. She'd make some money and she'd go to college. But 1 year passed after another, and Greta was still working as a salesperson, and she less and less often thought about her plans for the future. Her brothers had grown up, had families of their own. Greta would have liked to quit the shop, but she was afraid of no one would want her without education or experience. Now all her dreams were about a good, kind man whom she believed she would meet on her way. Before that, however, she had had no luck. One turned out to be a drunkard and a bully. The other, one who had promised her a mountain of gold, had once found her stash of money, taken all, and disappeared in an unknown direction. And so Greta drifted downstream, having recently celebrated her 30th birthday. One day before the store closed, a man staggered past. Greta could see that he could hardly stand on his feet and was only wearing a shirt. And it was the middle of February. Greta felt pity for the poor man. "He's going to freeze," she thought, and called out to him. The solution came of its own accord. She took one of the winter coats that she had been selling and put it on the man. "How far are you from home?" she asked him, but the man was in such a state that he probably couldn't even remember his name. The next morning, he woke up in an unfamiliar apartment. Greta had been up for a long time. It was her day off, but she did not want to wake her guest early. Sleep was the best cure for a hangover. Yesterday she had brought this drunken man to her house. Good thing her mother was away for a week to babysit her grandchildren. Otherwise, she would have gone mad at her daughter's action. The guest was visibly embarrassed by his appearance and the fact that he was in a stranger's apartment. He introduced himself as Ryan and said that he had been robbed after a bar where he had drunk too much, and if it were not for Greta's help, he would have frozen to death for sure. Looking at him, Greta suddenly thought that he did not look like a drunkard at all. Ryan, after thanking her for the rescue, left in the very jacket that she had given him, and she remained to live on in her loneliness. True, not for long. 2 days later, Ryan returned with a bouquet of flowers and invited her to the movies. Unexpectedly, she agreed. So slowly, imperceptibly, they began to date. Ryan told her little about himself, saying only that he worked in the field related to plumbing. But Greta didn't care. She felt that she was irrevocably in love. It was obvious that Ryan also cared about her. It seemed to her that he was about to propose to her, even though it had not been a month since they had met. And he did. True, Greta, even in her dreams, could not think that the fairy tale would happen to her. One morning, a fancy car stopped outside the house. Ryan got out of it. He was dressed in a perfectly fitted suit and looked very different. "Greta, I love you. Will you marry me?" he said, barely stepping on the threshold, and handed her the ring. It was so gorgeous that there are not enough words to describe it. "Ryan, the ring is expensive. You're a plumber, aren't you? I hope you didn't do anything illegal and didn't take a loan for it," frightened Greta for a moment. Ryan grinned. "I work with plumbing, but not as a plumber. I have a plumbing pipe company." Already in the evening, when Greta slowly began to come to her senses, Ryan said, "You know what? Get out of your job. Otherwise, I'll buy your store and fire you by myself." After the wedding, Ryan, who turned out to be a very wealthy man, left in his chic clothes that very cheap jacket, thanks to which he remained alive. 100 times Greta suggested to her husband that he throw it away, but Ryan was relentless. "No way. It's the best gift I ever got," he always answered.